Alrighty. Hello Flosstube friends. It's Monday, September 16th, 2024, and I'm finally back with another video. I'm Audrey Marine. You can find me on Instagram at StitchStitchBead, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. This is a series of videos about cross stitch and maybe a couple other needlework things thrown in, but mostly cross stitch. And for my returning viewers, thank you so much. Thank you as well for all the kind comments that I got on my previous videos. I really appreciate it. And as they trickle in, I try to keep on top of it. But if for some reason I have missed a comment, please do comment again, or as I say, find me on Instagram. Well, it has been over a month since I've done a video, and I have a lot to show you. There was a time there after my last Flosstube episode that I just wasn't getting anything done. And so, a couple weeks went by and I didn't have much to show. And then all of a sudden I had all this time again and I was able to get a lot of stuff done, but then we're kind of back into the Audrey has no time to stitch. So I haven't gotten a lot done in the last week, but I do have some cool things to show you, and I have a little bit of haul, and I've got some FFOs, which are really exciting. Not done by me. One done by me, which was a pain in the butt, but then some other really cute stuff that were finished by some others, which I really appreciate. So I'll get into all that. I have notes today, and I typed them up, I printed them out, and then of course I made handwritten notes all over the notes. So hopefully I will not miss anything. I will do my best. I am going to start with finishes today. So I have a little quilt rack right here that has some larger pieces on it, and then I have other things scattered over my desk here. And for those of you who may wonder, this pin, this is a piece of haul I got. It is from Erstwilder, and it is part of their new collection, Arts and Crafts. It sold out, this particular pin and some others sold out right away from their website, and so I had to actually order this from Retro Glam in Canada, and I've gotten a couple other Erstwilder things from them as well, so I was very happy to purchase from them again. But if you're looking for this particular pin from this collection, you might have a hard time, because even the day after, I found it at Retro Glam and I found it at some place in Germany, but I couldn't read anything on the website. I figured I could figure it out and purchase it from them, but the shipping was exorbitant. So thankfully Retro Glam in Canada had it and I was able to get it. There are some other cute pieces in this collection, measuring tapes, pencil shaving earrings, which was kind of cute, and tubes of paint. There were some knitting themed brooches and earrings. So if you're interested, you can check them out. This is actually an Australian company. Anyway, so if you're admiring my pin, that's where I got it. Although I will say, this one was tricky to put on compared to some of my other ones, just because the orientation of the stork, it's like if he's too far this way, then this whole thing wants to flop over. So you kind of have to have him up and down, or maybe just at an angle like this. But we got it figured out. Got him on. Okay, let's start with finishes, and I'm going to start with one thing in particular. You guys have probably heard about this, even if you haven't been watching my channel. If you've watched Brenda and Laura, or Jackie Comfort Stitching, or Contented Needleworker Kim, or Sarah's Stitchy Spot, thank you, ladies. Thank you for sharing this project. I'm very thankful to you all for doing that. This is a reproduction based on an antique that I purchased last year. And I went ahead and charted this sampler, and the original, which I'm sorry I did not dig out, the original is stitched on canvas, and I charted it and stitched it on 56 count linen, so it's teeny tiny. But you may have also seen that Laura Duet stitched it on 56 count. Hers is nice and small as well. She's got plans to have it finished into a pin pillow. That's what I would like to do as well. The thing about this chart is I am not selling the chart, but if those of you living in the US and Canada would like to make a donation to upaws.org, that is upaws.org, for $5 US or more, then you may send the receipt of that donation to me at audrey.marine@yahoo.com, and I'll put that right here. And then I will send you before October 31st a link to PDF of this chart on Dropbox. I'm not able to just email the PDF because the file is too heavy, but you will be given a link to the Dropbox file, basically. So anytime from now to October 31st, 2024, if you are interested in getting this chart, please make a small donation to UPAWS, send me the receipt. And I say US and Canada because it has come to my attention that only people residing in the US and Canada are able to make a donation to the UPAWS website. I don't think they've ever anticipated getting donations from people outside of North America. So I had a couple people reach out to me from the UK actually, hoping to make donations, running into this wall, unable to do so. So one woman, Sue, we just decided that she would PayPal me, and then I forwarded that money to UPAWS on her behalf, and of course sent her the link. And then another lady recently, Allison, she made the suggestion, can I just donate to a UK organization of my choice? I said, that's fine. She went ahead and did that, and then she sent me the receipt. So thank you so much, ladies. I know it gave you some trouble, but I appreciate your persistence. So thank you very much. And to everyone else who has donated, I meant to do the tally. I meant to do the tally before this video, but I believe that this little project has raised about $300 for UPAWS, which makes me feel pretty good. That's a lot of puppy chow. That's good. So again, you know, this is a funky little sampler. Look at this. Did Jenny know her alphabet? I'm not sure. If you are interested in donating, that would be great. This was sort of to celebrate Sampler September / my birthday, which is in October. So the idea was that if you've been enjoying my videos, if you're at all interested in doing something kind for me, I'd like you to do something kind for someone else. So, and if you have any questions about this, go ahead and leave a comment here, or you can email me. That would be fine. But that is a finish. And as I say, I'm planning on having this finished into a little pin pillow. I was thinking about going back and forth between a pin pillow and a framed piece. Sorry about that. And I ultimately decided I'd like to just have it finished into a pin pillow. So Faye, you can expect this. Oh. Okay. What else do I have? Oh. I have another finish, another small red sampler. So you may recall on my last video, I showed you this finish. This is from this chart. This is Hands Across the Sea. Came out relatively recently, I'd say within the last couple months, certainly. It's very new. This is Needlework from Distant Shores, Marta and Maggie. And I started and finished Maggie Burridge here. She was a nice, easy little stitch. And then I finished Marta. Started and finished Marta. Now these are both on a 56 count. This is Cockle Shell by Tabby Cat Linen. And I really, really like this linen. I like the color. It's a sandy color, but it's got a slight pink tinge to it. It's very warm. And it looks good with this 664, which is already my favorite red color in the 100.3 line from Auvera Soie. But the red and the cockle shell go very nicely together. Now you may notice that on Marta here, I've added my signature, a little lion and an A and a 24, meaning I finished it in 2024. I have not added that to Maggie. And reason being is that this will be finished into a pin pillow as well, I believe. I was thinking this would look nice on a red sampler wall, but it is so incredibly minuscule. And I would like to have a small little bowl of sampler pin pillows. And so I thought this would be nice. This would go nicely with Jenny Vandervecht. I don't even think I said her name, did I? This is Jenny Vandervecht. It is a Dutch sampler, and 1930 is the date on that. So I thought those would be nice to put in a little bowl together and add some in the months and years to come. So this one, I was thinking about having it made into a pin pillow as well, but actually it is a bit large, so I'm gonna have this one framed. And I like the orientation. It's rather long. The proportions are rather long compared to some other rectangular samplers. Now this one, I absolutely loved stitching this alphabet. Not so crazy about this band here. Kind of a pain in the butt. It is very regular, but I spent so much time concentrating on that to make sure that I got it right, because it was unlike anything I had ever stitched before. That part just wasn't fun. But this line was very easy. This was easy to memorize, so I was able to do that with no trouble. You just kind of had to pay attention to when you were going to stop, start, stop. But I gotta say, this alphabet was so fun to stitch. I loved stitching that. So this one will be sent off to the framer. This one will be sent to a finisher whenever I get around to doing that. Okay. So again, if you're interested, this is the chart. You can purchase it from Hands Across the Sea's website. They have PDF versions as well, but you should also be able to find this from your LNS. In going through the closet here in the Floss Palace, I came across some things that need to be fully finished off. So I kind of trimmed, ironed, stuck in a plastic bag things that I eventually want to send off to a finisher, but that aren't high priority. And then I also found some things that I, when I rifle through all this stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, and then I put it back and forget about it, and this happens over and over and over again. And once again, I found Ruth Gibb. This is one of the first samplers I did, and she's been just hanging out in the closet. I see this and I wonder if I shouldn't have it finished into a project bag or something like that. But then I think, well, wouldn't it be nice to restitch this and where Ruth's name is, stitch my own, and my age and the year and everything, because it's such a simple sampler, simple alphabets here. It was so quick to stitch. I think this may be one of the only things I've stitched that doesn't have any mistakes that I know of, because it was so simple. There's so little to it. So I don't know, do I frame this and then possibly stitch it again, adding my own information? Because I do think it would make a cute little notions bag. Some people stitch these incredibly involved pieces and then have those made into project bags. And I think, I don't want to put that much time into something that's probably going to be roughed up a little. But this one, anyway, if you have any ideas, you can let me know. But it might just be framed and thrown on a wall. So, but I like that one. And I need to do something with her. Okay. I have another finish. Are you guys excited? 2 Flosstube episodes ago, I think it was 2 Flosstube episodes ago, I showed you progress on Maria Ewan. And then the last Flosstube episode, I said, I'm not going to bother showing you Maria Ewan because I've done so little on her, or maybe one day, or maybe nothing at all. But I finished her. So I worked on her pretty much all of May, pretty much all of June, one day in July. It was the 1st of July. And then I ultimately decided I need to put her away because I'm so obsessed with her. I will not put her down unless I make myself put her down. And I really wanted to get some Christmas smalls done in July. And I did. I got a lot of Christmas smalls done in July. But then come August, I picked Maria up again and I finished her. It's great. Okay, so here's the chart. It's Maria Ewan, 1820. She was the 2023 Queen of the May from Hands Across the Sea samplers. And I stitched her on 45 count Jersey cream legacy linen. And here she is. And if there's anything wrong with it, don't tell me now. She's done. I'm not doing anything else to it. Okay, and then we'll go close up. It's hard for me to see what you guys can see. It's so funny. I was working on this one night. I brought this with me to Road America, and I got probably like 3,000 stitches done that weekend because I actually had a lot of stitching time. I think the weather was crap. I think that's what it was, and we just didn't spend a lot of time at the racetrack. But I remember one night my goal was to finish the border, and I did it. And then I think later that night or like the next day, I was looking at the bottom border, and I hadn't done one set of these little leaves, and I was like, oh, it's technically not done. So I went ahead and threw those in. But this is Maria. I think this is a whippet. This dog here, Morris insists that it's a goat. I think it looks like, you know, if Dr. Seuss drew a whippet. He's cute anyway. But I love this sampler. I love it. I'm so happy to have her done. I'm gonna send her off to the framer this fall. Oh, that's another thing. I will be using, you know, barring something catastrophic on her end, I will be using Lisa of L&M Framing in Batavia, Ohio again. She's framed half a dozen things for me so far, and she's on vacation. Summer vacation up north with her husband. They're vacationing in Minnesota, I think. But when she's available again, I'm going to send a bunch of stuff to her. But out of curiosity, I called Total Framing. Do you guys want to know what the wait time is? It's like 7 months. So I called and talked to a very nice woman at Total Framing. And basically, if you send them a piece, you fill in a form online, and maybe there's somewhere you can put, like, I would prefer a red frame or a black frame or whatever. I'm sure there's a note or something like that. But basically, if you release all control to them, you can get your piece back in a couple months. But if you want to have any back and forth with them, like a full design process is what they call it, where you send in your piece, maybe have some suggestions, then they get back with you with some visuals of different options, and you're going back and forth a few times. That process will take 7 or more months. So if you have something and you would like Total Framing to frame it, and you'd like it within a year, send it to them now. Send it to them now. But you can call and ask. I just called probably a week ago, so I don't imagine that much has changed since then. I believe that Total Framing is a great framer. I've never had anything framed by them, but I know that Karen Lynch uses them, and I know that Brenda and the Serial Starter has used them a lot. I know a lot of needleworkers use them, and they've got tons of experience. But if you're looking to have something finished more quickly, I know so many people take their items to their local Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I've decided for the price, I'm not going to do that, because I had the baby samplers that I made over a year ago. I had those framed at Michael's, and Lisa at LM Framing, she hasn't charged me much more than what I paid. Maybe it was even less than what I paid to have stuff framed at Michael's, and she's way better. So I personally will not have anything framed at Michael's again. I will just continue to use Lisa, who also is in Ohio, which is only 1 state away, so I know that nothing is traveling very far. Less likely to get lost or damaged, right? But all this to say, if you have things that need to be framed or finished, send them off, because everybody's backed up. It happens. Just send it off, and then eventually you will get it back. Instead of waiting for that magical opening when framers are like, oh yeah, you only have to wait a month. That's never going to happen. So just send it off when you can. Okay, let's talk about Maria for just a little bit, and then we'll move on to the next thing. The most surprising thing, I think, for me, stitching Maria, is how vibrant she is, I think, compared to the cover model. This is so pretty, but I thought it was kind of dull. And then I start stitching it, and she is anything but. I love this. I stitched the Lord's Prayer in Flosstube because it's charted for 523 is the Overdyed 100.3 color, 523. And they do make a Flosstube in that same color. It is 2523 if you're looking. So I just went ahead and ordered that. And I'm glad that I did it in Flosstube because this border here, the cartouche and the letters are all over one. And then I stitched my signature here over one as well. Now I watched Light Girl Stitches Steph. Hi Steph. I watched her first video and she was talking about how biblical references and scripture and Lord's Prayer, whatever it was that she was talking about for a particular chart, is not her jam. And I will say it's not mine either. But I didn't want to have to come up with something to fill this huge area for Maria. And I think whether this was important to Maria or to her family, or it was just something that she had to do, it's in the chart, and I wanted to keep it in the chart. It's funny though, because I also, it kind of reminds me of going to church with my grandma years and years and years ago. And the wording in this one is slightly different than what I had memorized. So I wonder if you guys, for those of you who have it memorized, if this wording is slightly different than what you have memorized as well. But so I just went ahead and left that in there, and it was really fun. It was really fun stitching all those tiny letters. I mean, I love them. And then I started here with this bird and vase in this part of the border. And then I moved down and kind of went around like this. And so I started with this one, and then I ended with this one and did everything else in between. There was a time though that I was getting really close to the end, but I still had half of this verse to go. And I decided I had to finish the verse and the border on this before I would allow myself to move on to anything else. And then another thing that I realized in stitching all the grass is that I love how this full coverage feels. So I want to do a full coverage, small full coverage piece, maybe like a scarlet letter, something old and funky with weird looking animals, and then have it made into like a little throw pillow with some silk cording or something around the edge, because I love how this feels. And you know, you want to put it under glass so that it's protected and it won't get dusty and dirty and oily and stuff. But I think once she's under glass, I'm never going to be able to touch this again, ever. No one will, until, I mean, if someone takes her out of the frame eventually to put her in a different frame or something. But yeah, and I love how this feels. It got to the point as well where I had so much of this grass done, I didn't actually want to put my hoop on it. I didn't want to distort it in any way. So anything around here, like this lettering down here, and even some of this, I actually stitched in hand. And it looks pretty darn good. I don't enjoy stitching in hand. I don't think it's particularly difficult. And I stitch, if you've watched Katie Strachan's video where it's like the camera is above her stitching and you can see how she does it, she doesn't do the sewing method. And the little bit that I have done stitching in hand, I don't do the sewing method either, because I don't want my stitches to be distorted. So I will poke and pull and poke and pull, even if I'm stitching in hand. And that way I think the stitches that I have done in hand, all of this, look exactly like the stitches I've done in a hoop, all of this. And the grassy knoll, again, once I reached a certain point, I saw, oh, I'm so close. I gotta finish the grass before I move on to anything else. Another weird thing about this is this tree here, I stitched this one first before I stitched this side. I hated stitching this tree. This one is fine. I don't know what my problem was. Oh, and I think probably my favorite part of this whole chart is this band. I just love these little flowers that look like hearts. The big part looks like hearts, and then the inner part of a different color looks like hearts, and then the void looks like a heart. It's a triple heart. It's so cute. And all different color combinations. That's one thing about this. Maria was so careful. Everything is symmetrical, perfectly symmetrical, except there's a deer on one side and there's a dog on the other. And obviously the lettering down at the bottom, the lettering in the middle, but everything else is symmetrical. And yet she has all these funky color combinations, which give it a lot of interest. So I love Maria. Maria. Does anybody watch the X-Files? There were so many times I was stitching on this and I could hear Mulder saying, Maria, Maria! Okay, anyway. So that needs to be sent off to the framer. If you guys are interested, this chart is still available. You can purchase it from the Hands Across the Sea Samplers website or get it from your LNS. Okay, what else do I have to show? Nothing there. All right. Okay, so those are my finishes. Those are my bigger finishes. I do have another one. Uh-oh. Okay. See, some of my finishes are related to haul, which is related to whips, and so I'm not quite sure how to go about everything. Let me look at this quilt rack here to try to keep things organized. I usually hang my finishes on the quilt rack and then put a tea towel over it, lest the spider poop get it. Okay. Let's go to my last little finish that I'll show you. And it's so cute. I finished bobbin. When Stacy Nash showed the new animal cracker charts that she was coming out with, I just went bonkers. And I had this one though, so I thought I'll just stitch that one and that'll scratch that itch and I'll feel better. So I pulled out bobbin and I pulled my own colors. I had sanguine and red pear, but then everything else I had to pull from stash. But this strange yellow grayish color, I believe this is the putty, and I knew I didn't want that anyway. And what I came up with, what I ultimately pulled, I pulled Buckeye Scarlet and Endive for the berries and the leaves, and I actually didn't end up stitching those. But let's see, I had red pear and sanguine, as I said. But then for bobbin, for the mouse's body, I used, let's see, Pamlico, Mariner's Compass, and Bunny Honey. I just pulled some things and tried to make a nice family of warm grays. And then also I've got Havana here, which I must have used that for something, but maybe not. Okay. But here she is, isn't she cute? Oh my gosh, she's so cute. So you can see I didn't stitch the berries. And my needle, I added a little bit of back stitching that wasn't called for. The back stitching to make a V down here is charted, but then I added an additional straight stitch to the point to sort of fill it in. And then I rounded the eye of the needle a bit. But all the other stitching is as charted. I just changed the colors, as I say. Is that focusing? There she is. This is on 40 count Little Bunny. Yes, 40 count Little Bunny by XJU Design. And the perfect color for a ground for these animal cracker animals. So cute. So she's tiny. She's on 40 count because I think you're suggested to stitch it on 36 count needle bling linen in the color suede. And I didn't have that. I don't have any needle bling. And I have some 36 count, but it's a bunch of really small pieces because I bought them specifically for that Blackbird Christmas book to make all those strawberries. Do you guys know that one I'm talking about? I don't remember what it's called. It's a book. It's about this big, and it has 6 different charts in it, and you're supposed to turn them all into strawberries. You guys know what I'm talking about. So anyway, what I'm saying is I wasn't going to steal any of that 36. And I wanted to stitch more animal crackers and maybe put them all on the same background, the same neutral. So this is Henrietta. This is Henrietta. So bobbin is a finish and Henrietta is a whip. Bobbin stitched up so quickly and I was like, oh, I can stitch Henrietta, you know, just it'll only take twice as long, right? Because she's only twice as big as bobbin. Nope, there's so much stitching in this. So much stitching. But she's so cute. And I'm more than halfway done. You can see bobbins there. And there's Henrietta. And for this one, I am using the called for colors. This was another thing. I was working on bobbin, finished her so quickly, was so excited about it that I immediately placed a 1, 2, 3 stitch order just for this chart and the called for colors. I didn't even get anything else. It was like, I just want a chicken coming my way. And I did. So, but very cute. So I think I can finish Henrietta in, I gotta give her some time and then I can finish it, I'm sure, in less than a week if I actually sit down and work on her. Okay. Let me consult my notes and see where I want to go after this. Oh, and I should show you. So these are the colors that I pulled for bobbin. Hardly any of which were called for. But then these are the called for colors for Henrietta. Yeah. And so my idea was that as I finish and then ultimately start another animal cracker, I'll just combine all of the floss here. Because if Stacy Nash is anything like Brenda Gervais, she kind of continues to use the same colors over and over again, right? So my idea was to have my animal cracker floss and charts, except for the ones that I finished, all together in one place. So now that I've shown you bobbin, I can put this in my I finished it drawer, but obviously Henrietta will stay out until she's done. And then I did order the new ones and they've come. This is Clovis, which I was asking Brian about this. Not that he cares about cross stitch, but I said, isn't Clovis a guy's name? Because there was a King Clovis way back in the day, and it's from Clovis that we get the name Louis and Louis. Correct me if I'm wrong. Whatever her name, it's adorable. It's a badger wearing an apron. So cute. And Reynard, which I thought was so cute, such a cute name. And Reynard, is the main character in the Mysterious Benedict Society. That's a kids' mystery series that I'm reading with Rupert. I finished book 2. It wasn't as good as book 1, but it was still good. So Rupert is working on book 3. So when he's done with that, then I get it and I can catch up to him. But this guy is so cute. And they have these little accessories. I don't know that I'm gonna bother making the accessories, but maybe. This one, yeah, you gotta make the mask. You gotta make the mask. So cute. I thought it would be neat if you could manage to stitch it so that there are holes for the eyes instead of just stitched eyes in the mask, but That would be way too complicated, I'm sure. Let's know your limits, Audrey. So cute though. This is Nettle. And here is the bunny without the mask. And that's the little pin keep open. So it's one side and that's the other. So you can see that the eyes are stitched into the mask and you just pop it on her. So cute. And I have not put it on floss drops yet. So you get to see how pretty. It's all the floss. I ordered this from Hobby House and I think they were only out of one color, lily pad, and I think I actually have like 3 skeins of lily pad, so that was a great one to run out of. But yeah, I mean, I imagine this is Raynard's overalls, and there's Raynard. I don't know what this is for, but it's so pretty. Yeah, I'm excited to get into these. So my idea is to finish Henrietta. I don't want to have a bunch of crackers going on at once. So finish Henrietta, and then I get to pick another animal, finish that one, and so on and so forth. So I remember Sean saying in one of her videos, you should always have a Stacy Nash going. And I think I'm going to be following that rule now, Sean. So, oh, did you guys watch her latest video? So good. I watched it yesterday. I will watch it again. So good. Yeah. But that was a fun bit of haul that I got there. Stacy Nash's new animal cracker charts. And I watched Teresa Kogut's, I think it must be her latest Flosstube episode. It's a very, very recently published video. She talks about a retreat that she went to, and Stacy Nash was there. Stacy Nash was one of the designers, and she received a so far exclusive animal cracker, and it's a chicken. It's another chicken. It's so cute. I think it's called Henny Penny, which is really funny. So I'm excited for the eventual wide release of that. That would be wonderful. Okay, let me assess here what I got. So I've shown you guys my cross stitch finishes. Let me jump to some FFOs because several weeks ago, must have been before London. Yeah, it was before London, before we went to London. I sent some stitched pieces to Vashti, and she finished off into tiny pillows. She finished some things off for me. So, ages ago, I stitched several pieces out of this book. This is With Thy Needle and Thread, Keeper of the Pins by Brenda Gervais. I stitched, to make sure, Maura stitched the alphabet one, and then my mom finished that into a small pillow. But I stitched this, 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 and this, and they've just been hanging around doing nothing. So Vashti told me, she said, if you have any things that need to be FFO'd, you can send them to me. So I took her up on that offer because I figured otherwise they'd just stay in a box in perpetuity. So Vashti sent me back a box of finished items and other goodies that she got to me, and Morris and I were ripping into that box, and he was like, it's like Christmas. He got a couple things too, but yeah. Okay. One of the things she sent me was, well, let me do that last. Okay. Here is this little sewing bird. So cute. So cute. And she added this charm here. And she consulted me about the edging. And she had, one of the options was sort of a tan color, and I think there was another one I don't remember. Maybe it was a cream or something. But ultimately I said, I like the bright red, and it'll pull out the red in the strawberries and tomatoes. Now, Brenda Gervais calls for some red, I don't know, but I didn't like it. So I believe I used ribbon red because I really like ribbon red. So I'm sure that's what I used for the red here. Everything else was called for. I remember I used a lot of oilcloth, and I added the beads and everything. But Vashti finished this nicely. I mean, look how nice the rickrack looks. Look at that. And she had this little charm. And I sent her this fabric. This is a motif fabric. It's from Harriet's Handwork. Little X's. And this is the pink version, which I cannot find anymore. So if anybody comes across a store that has it, I would love to know, because I have found this fabric in other colorways, but the whole line has since been discontinued. So anyway, so I got that one. And then this one, My Soul is Fed with Needle and Thread. And this is all on 40 count. All of these are on 40 count light nougat or nougat by XJU Design. And same backing. The funny thing was, I sent Vashti pieces of that fabric for the backing. I said, you know, please use this. I love it. And then she, I guess, had some left over because she made me a little key fob out of it. And Vashti, that may be the most exciting part of that package, because years ago, so Ryan and I have one car. We share one car, and it has these, you know, new car keys. They're not actually keys, and it's got this stupid loop on it that you can't put hardly any key fobs on. But years ago, I got him a really nice silver one from a particular company and had it hand engraved with the logo that I designed for him. And my key has been naked for a really long time. So Vashti made me a little key fob out of this fabric, and I was like, immediately went to my key and put it on there. But, and here's this one. It's so small. Look how small it is. But I love it. So I've had these on display in there, and unfortunately had to take them all out to show you guys, but I want you to see them. And I took a picture of how I had them set up in there because it was pretty perfect. So I can easily put them back how they were. There's that one. And then here's the last one. Vashti didn't stick these pins in here, but she sent them to me in something else I'll show you in just a moment. And I thought they would look so perfect in this one. This is just a collection of antique buttons that I got from, I bet I got them from Always in Stitches, because they just have like jars of buttons there, and you're welcome to rifle through, and I think they charge you like 10 cents a button or something. So yeah, and there's the fabric. And she didn't put the rickrack on this one, but I like it clean. I think it looks very nice like this. The buttons really stand out. Looks nice. And then she made me an additional, because I guess she had extra fabric, she made me an additional pin cushion, and they've all got walnut shells in them. Yeah, so actually you can see that this one sits on my desk, and this one is being used. So I was working on a Brenda Gervais small, Halloween small, and you know, there's like a few stitches of this color and a few stitches of this color. So I just had a bunch of needles with different colors going. So this one has been on my desk here. So thank you, dear. She sent some stickers, which I think I gave a couple to the boys. Stitching Mends the Soul. And look, she put StitchStitchBead there. That's so cute. Oh, and I did ask Vashti if it would be okay if people reached out to her for finishing services. I know that she is a busy, busy woman, and she wants to do stuff for herself as well. But she said it was okay, and she's very happy to hear from people who are interested in using her finishing services. Please email her. Email her at thecuteolive@yahoo.com, and I'll put that right here. She did say, though, that if you're looking to have stuff finished before Christmas, that you need to get on it, because she has quilts to finish, she has secret stitching to do, she has personal stitching to do, she makes project bags, and she does stuff like this. And she works at the attic one day a week. So, and she has dogs, and she has a husband. So if you want stuff done, get it to her now. But reach out to her first just to make sure that the timeline that she has will work for you. Okay. And again, this is Keeper of the Pins. You can still buy this booklet. A lot of shops keep it in stock. Okay, and Vashti sent, this is what she sent that had the pins in it. She made a bunch of these with a slightly different color and a different graphic, obviously, for those who attended summer school at the attic. But she sent me this one. And she also sent me this, which is just a cover of one of these. And she said that she thought this Stitch Stitch bead was too dark. But Vashti, I'm glad you sent this to me, because actually one thing I want to try to paint this and see how it works. And then if it works well and there's not a lot of bleeding or anything, then I can paint this one. But I don't want to muck with this one. So I'm glad that you sent me this. Anyway, and she just stuck a magnet in it, and that's what those red-headed pins were in. That sounds funny. Pins with red heads were in. So I took those out of there. So now I've shown you that, I can stick that in a stitchy bag. And Vashti sent me a chart. This is from the Scarlet House, which is good because I don't have a lot of their charts. She also sent a Scarlet House chart for Morris. It's one of the very small ones with just a bunch of red alphabets. And her point was that if he wanted to personalize anything or add words to something, he could use that chart as reference. And he's like, I want to stitch the whole chart. I was like, okay, there's over one in it. And he's like, I don't know if I want to do that. But this one's for me. This is still a bit too big for Morris. And it says, when the world seems to be out of control, I find a way to nurture my soul, seeking refuge with needle and thread, the angst and anxiety no longer I dread. And you can personalize it. And Vashti said she liked the sentiment, and I do too. When I go to Hobby House next month, I was telling Kim, my shopping list for Hobby House has needles on it, and that's it. But actually I thought about it. I want to look for more Stacy Nash charts, because the more I see, the more I like. I just need to, I can't buy everything. So I want to look through what they have and pick out a few more pieces. And then I also want the Scarlet House. Man, she's been releasing some good stuff lately. So I want to pick out a few more Scarlet House charts and maybe get the threads for this, because I have Pamela Co. And that's it for this. I have a pack of Overdyed DMC by XDo Design that I bought when Kitten Stitcher was having a huge Black Friday sale last November. And there are greens and browns and beiges and a couple reds. And I think it might work with this. I just need to do a little work and see if I can make it work. But otherwise I can, of course, always just buy the called for. So thank you, dear. I really like this house. Look at it. It's so cute. I love the doors here. Oh, look at this bird. He's going to get barbecued if he stays up on that chimney. But so cute. Okay. So that was some wonderful happy mail. Wonderful, wonderful. I'll put that down there. I need to put that away. And since I've shown you some fully finished objects that I got back from Vashti, I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I got back from Faye Rixby. Oh, that woman, I tell you. So you may recall that in July, I finished a bunch of Christmas smalls for Christmas in July, or what do other people call it? They don't call it Christmas in July. They call it Jolly July. That's what it is, for Jolly July or Christmas in July. I decided I wanted some Christmas smalls, some decorations in my house for this holiday season, so I better get on it, and I'm glad that I did. So let me show you, which one do I want to start with? Maybe this one. So I sent Faye 5 things, and she finished them all into pillows, and oh my gosh, so cute. This is a Shakespeare's Peddler chart. I used none of the called for. I used silks for this. This is a 46 count Panettone linen from Roxy Floss Co. Absolutely recommend Roxy Floss Co linen and floss. I mean, if I had it my way, I would be throwing money their way every week. I gotta calm down. So I used the Panettone linen, which is like a warm gray beige, and I do really like it. I think I need more of it. And I used some Threadnuts silk. If you go to threadnuts.com, you'll find a wonderful world of overdyed Overdyed. And I have probably 9 or 10, a couple different greens, a few different, I'm not gonna call them reds, they're more like hot pinks. Yeah, but just beautiful overdyed variegated Overdyed. And I got the 100.3s, but there is also Soie d'Alger. There's ribbon. Oh man, I need to order some ribbon from them because I've been doing some ribbon stuff. Okay. Already spending more money in my head. But I love this. I love this. One of the things I am most proud of when I was stitching this piece is these ice skates. Now, I love Shakespeare's Peddler. Like if I could have every Shakespeare's Peddler chart, I would. But I don't. Let's calm down. Now, these ice skates are cute, but they don't have any laces and they look pretty blocky. So when I was stitching it, I decided I'd keep the general shape, but I did overlapping, almost like a herringbone sort of stitch for the laces to kind of look like crossing over laces. And then I added these extra bits here to make it look like they were loose. And I'm sorry it's not focusing. I'm using my iPhone camera. It's not the greatest thing. When I upgrade my phone, maybe the camera will be better. And then another thing I did was I changed the loops. You can see the hooks here are very simplistic and they're coming out of the top. Whereas on mine, I kind of made it look like the bobble had rolled a bit. And so it's sort of coming out at you, the hook, and then same here as well. And you can obviously see I changed the colors a bit because these bobbles are like a greeny gold and then a green, and I made both of my bobbles gold. And then Faye finished it brilliantly, and look at the fabric she picked. Do you see how well that matches? Cute, right? And then Faye added this little pocket here. She said for Christmas wishes, and she stuck her card back there. Yeah. So here's her name, Faye Rigsby, Carolina Stitcher. You can find her on Instagram. As far as I know, she's accepting new clients because like I was an unknown to her a year ago, and I reached out to her probably last November or December because I was stitching some of the smalls from the Words of Wisdom box from Hands Across the Sea samplers, and she was the one who had finished the models for Nicola Parkman. And Nicola on her video said that you can reach out to Faye, and so I went to the Google and found her information, and she was very happy to take me. It wasn't like immediate, and I didn't get my items back within days, but I didn't care. And again, my Christmas stuff, I sent them to her weeks ago, and I said, you know, it's Christmas stuff. Take your time. I'm in no rush to get them back. Just because maybe, I figured maybe some people had like autumn or Halloween finishing or something. You know what's funny though? This little pot here. Doesn't that little pot look like he's got an attitude? He looks like the sugar dispenser from The Sword and the Stone. That thing has so much attitude. Okay. Put that down. So that was Merry Little Christmas by Shakespeare's Peddler. And you can order directly from Teresa Vanette from kittenstitcher.com. My understanding though is that she is in the process of moving house, moving stock, moving everything. So while you can browse kittenstitcher.com, you cannot order at this time, but keep checking if you want to order something from her. Just keep checking. You can add stuff to cart, you just can't check out. And speaking of Shakespeare's Peddler, there's this one. This is Pennsylvania Christmas 2. There is Pennsylvania Christmas the first, which is just a single pillow, white stitching on red. I have that one as well, but I went ahead and did these two first. And these, my stitching, out of all these finishes that I had done by Faye, like, these are not my favorite, but what Faye did with them, they might be my favorite pillows. Because she took my stitching. Now this is on 40 count red rose from number 12 Stitch Co. And I used Overa Soie 100.3 silk in cream or creme, C-R-E-M-E. You can buy that spooled silk from hoopandframe.com, or your Elenis may have it. But Faye said she had some blackbird fabric that she had been hoarding. And then she made this cord to go around the edge. Oh my gosh. So good. So good. Look at these peacocks. I remember I was working on one of those peacocks in Holland, Michigan this summer. And this is the one I did first. And oh my gosh, you want to see the back? Oh my gosh, look at it. Oh, I love it so much. It's not like it looks Russian, but it reminds me of photos I've seen from the early 1900s from people ice skating in Russia. I don't know. Maybe I just got Anna Karenina on the mind or something, but so pretty. I love it. So, okay, here is one of the backs with one of the fronts. Didn't she do an amazing job? So, I will be very happy to display those this Christmas time. Okay, so Pennsylvania Christmas 2 by Shakespeare's Peddler. This just came out earlier this year or last year. It's not very old, so you should be able to find it, no problem. Okay. And the fourth one is Dash Away All by Calico Confectionery. So these pieces are finished in like this synthetic tinsel-y stuff. And I had a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, I hope Faye doesn't finish it like the, I don't want that stuff on the pill. But no, she didn't. She used cord. It's beautiful. This is the one that I stitched. I really like this one, but I didn't figure I needed to stitch. It's basically just this. Yeah. Now the kids think this is pretty funny because in the chart and also in the model that is stitched right here, it says Donder. And I asked Ryan, I said, for the reindeer, for Santa's reindeer, I said, Comet and Cupid. And then he said, Donner and Blitzen. And I was like, okay, Donner and Blitzen. And then I Google it and I get Donner and Blitzen. So I don't know why this says Donder. The kids keep calling it Donder. No, stop it. But they're glad I didn't stitch Donder. So I stitched Donner. But here it is. And this was another really fun, I don't want to say alphabet. It's not an alphabet. But the letters were fun to stitch. And it went so quickly. And look at these little deer. So cute. Now the chart actually does call for a red and a black and a peach and a white because they want you to stitch 2 little stitches in black and 1 little stitch in peach and 1 little stitch in white. Well, I wasn't doing that. I stitched it all in red. And it turned out so well. And Faye made the cord and she picked this for the back. I love it. Just a simple Christmas red. Very nice. Okay, now this last one, besides Hannah Campbell, I don't think I've gotten so many likes on a finish on an Instagram post as I did with this one. I don't know why. It's so cute. It's so cute. This is a Plum Street Samplers. It's called Mary 2. I picked my own colors. You know, I picked silks from Stash, and I stitched this on the other ones I'm pretty good about remembering the fabric. But I'll say for that Dash Away All and this one, I'm sorry, I don't remember the fabrics I chose. But all the information is in my Instagram posts. And as I say, you can find me at StitchStitchBead on Instagram. But I don't know if people just like Plum Street Samplers more or if they like the Chubby Snowman or what it was. I mean, the Chubby Snowman is why I bought the chart, honestly. But I used thread nuts for the sleigh and this bit here and Santa's outfit. I believe it's Waterhouse that I used. It's a very, very, very dark green, grayish green. And then I used thread nuts for these leaves. The berries were done in, I want to say like a 109 or something, kind of a deep, rich red. And then I added, I don't know if you can see it, I added a little tiny French knot for this deer's nose in pink. And then I added another French knot for Santa's little rosy cheeks. And then I used French knots for the snowman's eyes and mouth. I tried to use French knots for his little coal buttons, but somehow I was having so much trouble there. So I just went ahead and made them X's. But yeah, this was one I had a ton of trouble with, these clover star shapes, whatever you want to call them, because I stitched them in one color, hated it, had to rip it out and then stitch them in whatever this color is, and I still didn't like it, but I ultimately decided to just keep moving forward and I left it. And it looks fine now, but I don't know. It still does look very vibrant compared to the rest, but I think it's okay. But again, Faye chose a beautiful cord for that. And then branches for the back, which kind of reminds me of what you might use for snowman arms. So very cute. So I'm really pleased with my stitching on these ones. I think they look great. And I'm very happy with how Faye finished them. I was telling Ryan that a few months ago, I went to Midland Antique Mall here in Indianapolis, and I saw this big, beautiful cloche, a glass cloche, and it wasn't even very expensive. And I was looking at it, and I was thinking, I don't need that. Well, now I think, because Ryan has a cat, and she likes to run off with any little squishy thing that she can fit in her mouth and carry around. She thinks it's her toy. And so I thought, oh, it'd be nice to have, it's just like, thinking about this one day, oh, for all my Christmas smalls or my seasonal smalls, it would be nice just to put them under a cloche on the dining room table. Should have bought that thing from Midland. It's not there anymore because the kids and I just went a few weeks ago and it was not there. But I'm not that person who will just buy something to buy it. It has to have a purpose or I won't buy it because I don't want a house full of crap. So, but that was one of those times where I could have just gotten that because it was like $29. It wasn't even that much. And it was this big, huge glass cloche, but oh well, maybe the Crate and Barrel will have one. Okay, how am I doing? Whoa, we're already at an hour. Okay. All right, those are my FFOs. And what else are we going to move on to next? Okay, so we did those finishes. Let's do non-cross stitch finishes. How about we do that? Okay, last time on my last episode of Flosstube, I showed you that I purchased this kit and this kit from Mary Jo Heine. Now you would have also, if you've been watching Jackie, Comfort Stitching, hi Jackie, you would have seen that she did a tour of her extremely local to her LNS that had all sorts of magical things. Like, I've never wanted to go to Missouri so bad in my life. Even Ryan keeps trying to get me to go back to St. Louis. I'm like, no, I don't want to go back to St. Louis. He's like, why? I was like, I hate St. Louis. For reasons. But Jackie lives nowhere near St. Louis, I don't think. And she has this beautiful store very near her called Florilegium. And you can find them online and on Instagram as well. And they sell ribbons and trims and floss and all sorts of things. And they also sell these velvet strawberry kits from Mary Jo Heine. So Jackie showed this kit on one of her previous episodes and she offered a giveaway. And I was like, oh, thank you, Jackie, for reminding me that those existed. So I went ahead onto Mary Jo's site. It's just maryjoheine.com. And let's see, let me see if I can find, yeah, there it is. maryjoheinedesigns.com, I'm sorry. And she has a number of kits available, and I went ahead and purchased this. This is Velvet Strawberries. This is just the classic colorway. And then I also ordered this Herb Bouquet ribbon embroidery kit. It came with the silk noir fabric, came with all the ribbon you need, and the floss to do the stems here as well. And I got this. And I have since finished 3 strawberries. The kit contains materials to make 5 strawberries, so I still have 2 strawberries left to go, but I finished 3 of them, and I have 2 to show you because I gifted 1 to my mom, so I don't have that 3rd one to show you. But this is the first one I did. Oh, I made a strawberry. It's so cute. And Mary Jo's instructions were great because honestly, I was starting from at the bottom, you know, from the ground floor. I have never made anything like this. I've done a little bit of hand sewing, but I just followed her instructions. And she gave instructions for how to make this cord. This cord was not included. You got floss that you then turned into cord. But I mean, and there's my seam. Looks pretty good. I used a silk thread that was similar to this color, but look at how the color changes. Yeah, so pretty. This silk velvet, I love it. And then silk ribbon and beads and sequins to top it off. And all of this you had to make. You had to adhere the lining, interfacing, whatever you want to call it, to the silk velvet, and then cut it out into the wedge shape. But she included a guide that you trace, and then you cut that out and sew it together inside out and then turn it right side out. And then she includes sand. So you fill it most of the way up with sand and then shove some polyfill or roving or whatever it is, some fluffy filling, fill that in there. And then kind of cinch it at the top, and she gives instructions on how to create the calyx, I believe it's called, and add these beads. Oh, so cute. And you actually add the beads, the seeds here, the beads that are supposed to look like seeds. You add these afterwards, and I was like, why wouldn't you bead it first? But actually it makes so much sense to do it after the fact. So don't question her instructions, just follow them. And I think you'll end up with beautiful little strawberries. Now, these are time consuming. It takes me, an inexperienced hand stitcher, 2 hours to make 1 strawberry. Maybe I'll get a little faster in the future, but having to hold the material in such a way, my hands got a little cramped and I could only go so fast. Now, if you have a sewing machine, you can zip that seam very quickly. But I sewed this seam by hand, and that took, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes just right there because I sewed tiny little stitches really close together. So you do it, follow her instructions as I say, but if you've made strawberries before and you have a method that works for you, I would say the kits are worth it just to get the materials because I didn't have to go on Mary Jo's site and select silks and silk ribbons and anything else. And I didn't have to source my own beads. Everything was included. It was so easy. So wonderful. And she She actually ended up reaching out to me sometime after I had received my first order. And it turns out that my viewers, and I guess Jackie of Comfort Stitching, her viewers, you guys buy what we show. Because I guess Mary Jo had an influx of orders after our videos, and she was like, what is going on? And then she finally figured out what was going on, and so she reached out to me and to thank me for showing the couple kits on her, or on my video. And so I guess you guys went ahead and ordered, which is really cool. And I hope for those of you who have ordered strawberry kits that you've started on them and you enjoy them. It's not like the most fun thing to do, but if you don't have anything pressing, you know, if you have the time, I love looking at this and being able to say, I made that. I love it. Okay, now, this ribbon embroidery kit. You can see the remnants. I dug into it. I did it. I did the embroidery. And I finished it into a needle book. Yeah, we're going to talk about this for a bit. The embroidery, again, easy to follow instructions. My problem with the ribbon embroidery kit, it was just that I had never stitched with ribbon before. So for me, it was hard to manipulate the ribbon. I could see in her instructions and I could see in my mind how this ribbon is supposed to go around the needle this way and go back in, and it's supposed to create this shape or lay in a certain way to create a leaf or a petal or whatever it may be. But it was difficult for me to physically manipulate the ribbon. So this is something that I would like to try again, and perhaps even if my finished product doesn't get any better or look any neater, I just hope that if I do this again in the future, that it will just be easier for me, because I found it difficult and frustrating. But I do like the finished product, I do. And as I say, all the materials were included in Mary Jo's ribbon embroidery kit, except the beads and the sequins. I had already made a strawberry, so I took the leftover beads and sequins from that first pink strawberry. Oh my gosh, look how good they look together. And I used those in this flower here, and then also down there. And then I added a bead and sequin to this bow here to sort of tack it down. Oh, it's so cute. Because I was supposed to stitch more, I don't know if you can see it, but there are cream bits here. This is cream colored ribbon. There was supposed to be more of those. And it just got to the point that I wanted to be done. And I'm good with beads, not so good with ribbon. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna take Katie Strachan's approach and just make it blingy. And so I added beads and sequins, and I think it looks really cute. And I like how the beads are sort of poking through here. And this is stitched on a silk noir fabric, which is available on Mary Jo's website. That's another great thing, is if you want a kit, she's got some kits. Not a ton, but enough variety that I think maybe you'll find something that you like. But if you ultimately decide that you just want to do your own thing, she has ribbons and tons of different fabrics available, different types of fabric and in different colors. So I could spend a lot of money on Mary Jo's website, but my point is this noir fabric, it's very slubby, which I like. It looks raw, it looks real, but it's woven just like linen. You can see the crossed fibers. And so I was like, well, why don't I cross stitch on it? So that's what I did. I took some of the leftover floss and I stitched an A and an M right there. And I just kind of eyeballed it to make it even. I don't know that it is necessarily on the same line, but it looks like it is. So cute. And then to create the needle book, I used Katie Strachan's method. She put a tutorial up probably a couple months ago. It was when she was offering that Stacy Nash Feathered Nest Pin Keep Kit, and she put up a video tutorial showing you how to finish the pin keep. I had watched that video when it came out because I was considering purchasing her kit, but ultimately I didn't. But I'm glad I watched the video because it was great. And so I just had to watch it again and just remind myself of the steps. But guess what? I did this. I stitched. Oh, I'm so mad. I made these oval cutouts for mat board. I made 4 of them. So 1 to wrap this around, 1 to wrap this around, 1 to wrap this around, and 1 to wrap this around. So I had 4. And between the mat board and the piece of fabric here, this wall, I put in an oval of felted wool to make it a little squishy, and so that I'd have something to put my pins in here. Because Katie's method used very strong magnets set into the mat board, and I didn't want to use magnets, and I didn't have magnets. So I thought, I've got the wool, the felted wool, so I'll just go ahead with that method. And I like how it's kind of squishy. But Katie's tutorial, as good as it was, is only good if you pay attention to what you're doing. So I had these little silk ribbons here, and I started with this one, and I put that in there so I could make my hinge, and then I was sewing my pieces together all the way around, and then I was like, oh, Mary Jo taught me how to make cord, so I'm gonna take some water lily silk, and I just cut this huge length, and I made some cord. And then I stitched the cord all the way around and realized that I hadn't put the silk tie here. I was so mad. It was one of those things where, have you ever been so mad that you just can't emote at all? You're just sitting there looking at what you've done. Yep, that seems about right. Of course I did that. So then I thought, I am not gonna take the cord off and take apart this thing that I have taken a long time to hand sew together. So I thought, how can I fix this? Or how can I make it usable still? And I went ahead and decided that, well, I've got some antique buttons, don't I? Although I could not find my antique buttons. So thank the Lord for Barry and that box that I bought from her, because it had this teeny tiny jar full of antique buttons, and I pulled one out of there. And only this morning when I was going through stuff did I finally find the buttons, the other buttons. But anyway, this was a whole thing. So I attached this, and I think I did a pretty good job. It's pretty darn secure. It was not the easiest thing trying to stitch a button onto a finished piece, right? But I managed. And then when I did this second oval, I paid attention, and I put my hinges in it, and then I put this ribbon, and this is also for Mary Jo, I should say that. I bought this set of ribbons. I got the Roses collection. So it comes with Champagne Blush, Floribunda, Terracotta, Coral Rose, and Wild Poppy. And the Coral Rose ribbon is what I used for this. And it's oranges and hot pinks, and I thought it worked very nicely with this. And then the Water Lilies silk that I used was just something I had in my stash. I hadn't purchased this. This was something for my mom. It was she got some random water lilies, and she said, do you want these? Well, absolutely. This is hot peppers. So hot pinks, magenta, purple, and some sort of kind of tangerine, I'd almost say. And so I made a couple really long lengths of cord out of that to stitch around the edge. And as I mentioned in my Instagram post about this, and in a message I sent to Faye, I hated doing this. But actually, after I finished it, I could not stop thinking about it. So I think I need to do this again, taking all the knowledge that I have gained through this experience, and I could do it again. But I think considering this is my first, I will say, complex finish, it looks pretty darn good. If you want to make this yourself, you'll need the Herb Bouquet ribbon embroidery kit from Mary Jo Heine. You'll need a piece of Floribunda Silk Noir, also from Mary Jo Heine, and then some silk ribbon. You can purchase tons of different colors. But you could even just buy some Floribunda Noir from her and a bunch of ribbons, do your own thing. You can cross stitch on this. I mean, you can cross stitch on this. I meant to count what the thread count might be, but let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This A is 9 stitches wide, and it's about the size of my fingernail, my sad short fingernail there. So this will be it has been like on display in here because I knew that I needed to show it to you guys, but I think now I'm going to stick it in a little cross stitch travel kit, and I'm going to take this with me to Hobby House because I should use it and abuse it. Yeah, I like how it turned out. I showed this to Ryan. I was explaining to him all the trouble that I had in very simple terms. But he was like, but I like the button. It looks like it was done on purpose. It kind of does, but I know it's not. It's not supposed to have a button. But it's so pretty. And I love the variegation from the water lilies. Yeah. I think this section in particular is really cool. All right, well, enough about that. That was such a pain. Let's move on to something else. Okay. Let me show you, I did purchase a couple new kits from Mary Jo. I got, as I say, I have not finished the strawberry kit, the like original strawberry colors, but I went ahead and purchased the pastel kit and the Halloween. Yeah, man, I love these colors. I mean, I don't like orange and I don't like purple, and who wants a black strawberry? But I love Halloween. Yeah, so I'm excited to get into those. Okay, I'll put that aside for now. Let me check my notes again here. All right. Shall I show you whips? Or shall I just show you the rest of my haul? Because I just have a couple of things. I'll just show you this. You probably know that Nicola Parkman of Hands Across the Sea showed this on her recent few videos. This is Emmeline Purnell. This is a new chart from Hands Across the Sea samplers. It is available exclusively from Acorns and Threads. You can go to their website and purchase it from them while supplies last. I purchased this a couple days after it was released. Laura was asking me, because I guess she ordered it like 2 minutes after it was released. She asked me if I was going to get it. And I was like, I don't know, I'm hemming and hawing. But then I saw, because it's pretty. But when I saw the close-up photos of this on, it must have been on Acorns and Threads website, or maybe on Nicola's Instagram posts, but you could really see all the different blues and greens in here, and that's what sold it for me, this right here. And again, Nicola showed this, but she put just the center bouquet on a page all its own, so you don't have to worry about overlapping. Because I had considered just stitching, a la Kim Goldman, just stitching the center bouquet and maybe finishing it into the top of a box. Yeah, so pretty. But the reason I was hemming and hawing ordering that is because on Acorns and Threads website, I made the mistake of seeing what other charts they had, and I saw that they had several Hands Across the Sea samplers charts on sale, like like clearance sale. And so I went ahead, there were plenty that I didn't have, but I thought, am I really gonna stitch all these anytime soon? No, but I did want to go ahead and buy this one. This is Dancing with Your Heart. And I think I got it for 50% off or something. I mean, it was stupid cheap. It was like $14 for this chart. And I thought I'd really like to have this drum. I love that little tambourine there, but I just like the vibrant colors. The thing is, this is stitched with DMC or Soie d'Alger. If I want to stitch it in silks, I'm going to have to do my own conversion because I don't have a lot of Soie d'Alger, and I don't imagine that this will take very much of any color, so I don't want to buy a whole skein because 4, 8, yeah, that'd be like $40 in Soie d'Alger. You don't need that much, so I'll just pull colors from stash. But very cute. I think this one came out quite a while ago. I don't see a year on it though. Anyway, you should still be able to find this. I think Acorns and Threads may still have some copies in stock. And if not, you can always get it from Hands Across the Sea Samplers website. Yeah. Okay. Shall I show you whips now? Yeah. Okay. Wow. Hour and a half. All right. Let's do some whips. How about new starts? Because that's what's on top. Okay, for Sampler September, I started Alice Tippett. This is another Hands Across the Sea Samplers. I love hats. This is a nice little one. I actually had all of the colors in my stash except for one of the yellows, but I had the color next to it. So, yeah, I didn't have 241, but I had 240. Which was actually a little duller, which I liked. So, and I'm stitching this on 46 count serial starter from number 12 Stitch Co. Another Nicola. Hi, Nicola. And I got a pretty good start on this. Sorry, no, not wrinkled. I expected this to be smaller. I don't know why, but I definitely did. But I got to the house, did some of the alphabet. I like that it says Sweet Home. I think it's pretty cute. This poor girl has such a tragic story though, but she has an adorable little sampler. This was just released earlier this year, I believe, so you can get it quite easily. I want to make progress on that. I'd like to be able to, I think I could finish that this month. Just knock it out. But if you like pink, and then I actually ordered this green color. This is 654. I ordered 2654, which is a Soie Surfine. And I ordered that so that, this is really small, but I thought perhaps in there I could at least stitch my initials or maybe the year. I won't be able to do that lion with the A and the 2-4 like I usually do on samplers, but I think I can get an A and a 2-4 hidden in the trees, and I wanted to do it in that same color. So I'm slowly adding to my Soie Surfine collection. There's so much thread on those spools. They will last me a long time, but I figured I'll get that color. And because I was looking at it, I was like, well, where else could I put my initials? I don't know. I don't want it to stand out. But, so that's Alice Tippett. Super cute. Okay. And then this isn't really a new start, but when I showed it before, I think I showed it to you guys before. I certainly posted about it when I started on Instagram. Posted on Instagram when I started it back in June. Back in June for Sarah and Judy's birthday celebration, they wanted to do a stitch along for Florence Mary Dickinson. And I started it the day that they started it, but I just put in one day's work. And only recently did I come back to it and put a little more into it. And I am stitching this on 56 count light hazelnut, pretty sure, by XJU Design. And here she is. And I stitched all the way over here because I was getting pretty paranoid about the width of my fabric. But I had to keep reminding myself that this is 56 count. You've got plenty of fabric. Oh, I love this bird here in the middle. Look, it's cute. and I'm using the called for colors. Now there has been concern, I know Steph mentioned this, and she's absolutely right, that these, in the flowers around the border, it's comprised of 2 colors, 109, which is the music notes here, and 681. Oh boy. All right, pardon that interruption. Brian called, he was out on a job and yeah, called to complain for a little bit, but that's okay. It was okay. So the concern for the flowers here in Florence Mary Dickinson's border is that the 2 reds that are called for, the 109 and the 681, are so close in depth of color that when you stitch them together, they look like the same color. It's kind of like, are there 2 different colors, or is my eye playing tricks on me? So Steph, Late Girl Stitches, talked about how she decided to use a very different color to substitute one of those. Now, when I stitched my first flower here, even before hearing about Steph's concerns, I noticed the same thing. It looks like the same color. But I went ahead and just decided to use the called for colors. And in the border, I think I might suggest, if you're stitching this, perhaps using more distinct colors for those flowers in the border. But for this flower, and it is hard to see here on the video, but for this flower, in person, there are more stitches, and you can more easily see the contrast between the colors. It's subtle, but it's there, and I like it. So I'm just moving forward with the called for colors. But there is Florence Mary Dickinson. I do not enjoy stitching this border. It's because there are so many things that are, it's like 5 stitches of this and 2 stitches of that, and 5 stitches of that. It's so slow going. Hannah Campbell's border, I make the comparison to her. Hannah Campbell's border is so complicated. But you'll have so many different colors. But each of the colors, you'll have, I don't know, areas where there are at least a dozen stitches or more of that one color. And it feels easier when you're stopping and starting and stopping and starting just for a couple stitches. It's so slow going. And so I am running, I'm running light green through here because I think I'd rather run the thread through that border than tie it off and do another pin stitch and tie it off and do another pin stitch. So I'm running thread through where I can, but that border, the border is slow going. And so that's why I did, excuse me, I did allow myself to stitch some of these motifs up here. I figure as long as I've done more border than I've done innards, I'm good. Because then maybe eventually I'll get to a point where the border's done and all I have left is innards. That would be nice. Okay, another frustrating lady here. Marie Louise Puree. This is a stitch along that I started in January. The idea is to do 1 row of letters and a bit of border per month. I started in January with the idea that I would be finished in December, but if you see this and you want to join in, by all means, you can start at the top in whatever month we're in, and then in 12 months time, if you do 1 row a month, then you'll be done in a year. She is really pretty. And if you're stitching her, please, and you want to join in, use the hashtag Marie Louise Puree, SAL, and you can tag me at StitchStitchBead if you like as well, or just tell me in a comment that you're stitching her and you actually like her. Because I am ready to be done with her, I tell you what. I'm stitching this on 46 count gold sand by XJU Design with all the called for 100.3 silks. my issue has become that I'm getting bored with the rows. As I mentioned when I was stitching Maria Ewan, you know, I started in one corner and kind of came down and then went this way. Yeah, but for Marie Louise Puree, I'm doing one row, all the same stuff, another row, all the same stuff. And like, that's my month. So not exactly enjoyable. I don't hate it, but I'm ready to be done with it. But let's see, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So I have not started September yet. And we are halfway through the month. So I need to get on this. And I need to do some border. This is another border I don't enjoy. It's not complicated, and there's a good amount of stitches in each color as you go, but I just don't find it enjoyable. But when she's done, wow, this will look magnificent on my wall. Yeah. And the gold sand fabric has, you know, has gold in it to pick up the thread colors. I think it's very nice. I think the called for fabric, marbled khaki, which seems like it would be pretty dark. Doesn't really look like the photograph, but so. Only a few months away from finishing her. That's the idea. Yeah. Let me get this folded back up. Put her away. So I need to get started on September's row. Should probably do that before I get to Alice Tippett, and certainly before I do anything on Florence Mary Dickinson. Okay, and then another whip that I have is, yeah, this will be the last whip that I show. I got back to this within the last week or so, and I've really been enjoying it. This is Catherine Reese. This was a market release in March or whatever market was. This is by 1897 Schoolhouse Samplers. There are two small charts included with this. There is While Plying Her Needle, which is the one that I am working on with the birds. And then there is also Blooming in Her Own Time, which has this bouquet and floral border. And Caroline and Carrie of Evertote and Roxy Floss Co are stitching each woman is stitching one of the charts, and they're using the hashtag you will like this friendship, Sal, I think is what it is. But and I'm using Roxy Floss Co linen. I don't know if this is porcelain or dirty porcelain. I'm sorry, I don't remember, but they're very, very close. So if you have one or the other, they will both work. My concern was that this, I think it's called Antique Wedding Dress. Floss. Yes, Antique Wedding Dress is this cream. My concern was that it would not show up on my fabric, but it shows up beautifully. It's the cream that's in the flowers here, and then a bit in this border and in this tree here. So I've got a good amount done on this because it is a small sampler. I have to do another one of these birds on the other side, sort of repeat these motifs over there, and do the lettering and finish the border. Not bad. And I do think I would like to stitch, sorry about the glare, stitch this one as well. I like this one better. I do. So I don't know if I'm just gonna ultimately be done after that one or if I'm gonna stitch the second one. I like the idea of having the pair though. Okay. I see one more thing that I need to show you guys, and then I think I can call it quits. Okay. A few episodes ago, I showed you a little bird that I bought. It's a little, he's right there. That was made by Suzanne of Parish Farm Girl on Etsy, and she makes the most wonderful little handmade objects. And when I saw this, I had to have it. I told her, I was like, I didn't need it, but I needed it. And it is a strawberry, and it is exquisite. And it is prominently displayed in this cabinet here. But look at the bee. And Suzanne made this, and it's on this green and white checked background, this quilted background, and then she embroidered all of this, and then it's got this faux pearl hanging off of it. Oh, and then look at these hot pink thistles, which I just love. And this is velvet and beaded and crinkly silk ribbon. And then we've got this little mother of pearl button. Suzanne, I love it. I don't even know if she watches my videos. It's so pretty. So I got that, I don't know, a few weeks ago, probably over a month ago at this point, but just gorgeous. I have now 4 of her pieces, and anytime I go onto Etsy, I check her shop to see if she's got anything new. She does have a lot of tomato pin cushions, and she's got some strawberries and some other small notions bags. So you should check her out. Parish Farm Girl on Etsy. Cute stuff, fast shipping. Yeah. Okay, was that enough stuff? I feel like that was a lot of stuff. My plan is to come back and do another video before I go to Hobby House. So I'm thinking early October, and then to have another video maybe around my birthday or late October to catch you up on the Hobby House retreat and surely what I purchased from that. And then my progress. Maybe I'll have a finish or 2. I feel like I had a lot of finishes for this one. What, I have like 3 or something? That's a lot. And then I had a ton of FFOs to show you, but all good. Exciting times. Okay, if you have questions, comments, concerns, leave them below. And if I have shown or mentioned anything in this video that I have neglected to put in the information box that you want to know where I got it, anything like that. Oh gosh, I put this here so I wouldn't forget it. Ha! Okay, speaking of plans. Okay, one more thing. I have plans to work on samplers, as it's Sampler September, and we've only got a couple weeks left. But Kim Goldman gifted me, and my printer is crap, so this is what it looks like. But she gifted me this chart. We're reading Sense and Sensibility together this month. She's already finished. I'm not finished, Kim. But I've been texting her a bit, and you know, like, I'm at this part and I'm at this part, whatever. So she gifted me this chart. This is Jane Austen, Sense and Sensibility. It's from Vintage Tulip Design on Etsy. It's a pretty inexpensive chart, and I know at least one other person has purchased this and started on it. I have not started on it yet, but I've picked out a couple colors for the irises because I actually want to make my irises pink and make them look like those champagne and strawberries irises. Oh, so pretty. But there is a quote here from the book. These irises are in a little boot, sort of a Regency era looking boot. And then it has S and S, J-A. So, Kim, I wonder if you've started this yet. Have you started it? I'm so behind on things. Yeah. But I'm planning to start that soon. Maybe today. Maybe later today. I gotta dig out some floss. Make some final decisions on color. Okay. So, comments, questions, whatever, leave it here or find me on Instagram. And I should be back with another video. Definitely a shorter video in October. Okay, well, I'll talk to you guys next time. All right, happy stitching.